Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dragon Cast podcast, where two people go and talk about 4 episodes of Dragon Ball randomly. If you don't want to listen to two people talk about 4 episodes of Dragon Ball, well, you're in the wrong place, so I guess you can click away and not listen. Or you could listen to us, because we're pretty cool. I'm pretty cool. Zeon, I think you're pretty cool, huh?
I mean, I think pretty cool is kind of an overstatement for a couple of nerds talking about a Japanese cartoon from the 80s, but, you know, alright, I'll accept pretty cool.
I personally would say I think that people talking about Japanese cartoons from the 80s is pretty cool. But then again, I guess I have weird standards or something. But yeah, so anyway, this episode we are doing episodes 21 till 24. And
Yes.
so the last episode we were talking about, we got through some Goku and Krillin's training with Muten Roshi, and we got the start of the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Or, I think in the subs that we have, it's called the Tenkaichi Tournament, which is, you don't really hear that, I don't think you hear that from anywhere other than the subtitles for Dragon Ball, and that's because it's done by somebody different, apparently. Normally Steve Simmons does the subtitles, but for Dragon Ball, the subtitles are done by Clyde Mandolin, who you may know if you're a fan of Earthbound, because he did the Mother 3 translation, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, that's a random tidbit of trivia for you, but yeah, so...
Yeah, I will say, I did want to say, like, about the subtitles, like, I get why they call it the Tenkaichi Tournament, because Tenkaichi is this weird, like, portmanteaued word that means, it's a combination of different words that mean, that means, like, you know, like, basically the strongest under the heavens, and where Budokai is literally just tournament. So you have, like, this kind of like, made-up-ish word from Toriyama that means, like, a combination of things, kind of like, you know, like Kaioshin means, like, God of the Lord of the Worlds or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, like, I get why they translated tournament and not Tenkaichi, but it is really weird because you never really hear Tenkaichi not followed by Budokai.
Or at least, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, even in, like, the video games, we've got... Well, no, the video games, they're called Budokai Tenkaichi, so I don't even know. I don't know whether that was right or not, because I think those games were called Sparking in the Japanese, and okay, I know I know too much, like, random trivia about this franchise. It is actually really bad. So let's start with episode 21. Episode 21, we actually get to the proper tournament. The tournament starts, we get the first proper fight, though not before we get some kind of, like, it's not actually filler, but some kind of almost, like, introductions and sort of, like, admin, basically. Admin for the tournament.
I love how this episode opens, because it opens immediately with Goku and Kuririn, like, running all excited after just beating the tournament, and then, like, you hear, like, the gong, and you just start, you see like the arena, and it's the unveiling of the tournament arena, and it's a really good kind of, like, comparison between, like, their excitement and kind of almost this ominous, like, you don't know what this tournament has in store for these characters. I like how they juxtapose those two scenes.
And it's actually really, I don't remember if this is actually the first proper, like, good look we have of the tournament grounds, or if we saw it a bit earlier, but it is actually interesting. I think I read somewhere that Toriyama was actually inspired by some stuff he went on a holiday in Bali, I think, and they had some kind of statues and stuff there, and that's kind of where he got this idea for, like, these sort of, like, there's, like, this, you know, big kind of scary face in, like, and there's all these, like, very kind of oriental themes, and it's, like, it actually does make it stand out. Like, it's not just kind of like a plain arena, it's kind of got a lot to it, and we do kind of get to see that. And I think it does help give this tournament its own specific identity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely like the ornate look of, like, so, like, you know, the figureheads, like, on the walls and stuff. Yeah, it's very sparse, but it has, like, that extra little bit of flair, like, character and flair to it that I really dug. But yeah, you were talking about, we got a little bit of, I'm pretty sure it was filler with the Muten Roshi and Bulma, right?
No, I actually just checked. I don't think it's actually filler. Maybe it's like a bit more added in, but it's not really filler. At least the part where he asks for a Pafu Pafu and then Bulma suddenly, like, takes him, like, uppercuts from nowhere. Oh, yeah. No, actually, maybe that was it. I was looking at the manga, and in the manga, Bulma just grabs a mallet out of nowhere and, like, hits him on the head with it, so... There's that. Because I was going to say that this feels like the first appearance of kind of the armor-piercing slap, where it's like, you know, no matter how strong a person is, if a pissed-off girl, like, hits them and slaps them, it's going to hurt, no matter who it is. Like, the other anime trope.
So something I was gonna say is like I love that after she just decks him like friggin' Shoryukens him like in the jaw and sends him flying. Afterwards, like when Oolong is just like, "Wow, you should have entered the tournament," and she's sitting there like blowing on her fist because punching the Muten Roshi really hurts because like he's like a made of concrete martial artist.
Is that why she was doing it? Like, I thought it was just as like almost like a kind of like flair or something. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, that's the joke. The pissed off woman is the strongest thing in the universe, stronger than anything ever. So don't do that. That's the joke.
Yeah. I want to say, animation wise, this episode was really cute looking. Like just the way they animated Kuririn and Goku, like they're a little bit rounder in their like the way they're drawn. Like their arms are a bit more straightened and aren't as kind of bulbousy, and yeah, it's like it gives them like this really cute aesthetic, this really cute chibi aesthetic, and like everyone has like a I would say a cuter design in this episode than really other ones. And I was thinking back to the episode from the Pilaf arc, like the finale of that arc, where I was like, oh yeah, like it reminds me of that arc where, you know, it looked super cute. And I looked it up, and no, none of the same people worked on it, so I have no clue why these two episodes look particularly cute in terms of their art direction. But yeah, that was just something that I had noticed, and I was just like, I'm gonna be like the smart guy and look it up and compare. Nope, it's not even those guys. Shit.
Once again, I don't even notice these differences. I mean, for me, it's like every episode Goku and Krillin look cute because they're so little and they have those such big eyes. They're like the most adorable things ever. We get essentially after that we kind of go to the kind of like, this is like the proper admin stage where we actually get our first glimpse of like all 8 of the finalists.
Yes. Yeah, we gotta look at everyone here. Pretty much, though, it's mostly just kind of focused on Goku and Kuririn because this is really their story. But yeah, no, I didn't really have too much to say about this unless you did.
It's just that I guess that's not really anything I need to say in particular. It's just more like the thing that I'm thinking about, and that is the character of Jackie Chun, and my question over how obvious is his true identity supposed to be from this point? Because like, okay, I mean, they don't explain it yet. In fact, they actually haven't explained it yet, but Jackie Chun is actually the Muten Roshi who in disguise. But it's weird because it's like, you see him from the very beginning, and they kind of talk about it from the very beginning. And in fact, the first thing we see of him is him ogling Lanfan, the other, or Ranfan, or I don't even know. I think the subtitles give him her a slightly different name. I'm gonna call her Ranfan. He sees her ogling her and like having jokes about like how he wants to fight her, and I'm like, so is it supposed to be obvious that it's him because it kind of looks like him and he's also like trying to get the girl, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume it's meant to be obvious. I mean, okay, so my introduction to Jackie Chun as a character, I'm pretty sure is very different from yours, because my introduction to him as a character is a flashback that happens during the Artificial Human arc, where they talk about Goku.
Yep.
Yeah, where they talk about Goku facing Jackie Chun. And let me just say, like during like the 10 days leading up to the Cell games, where Gohan goes and like meets like an old man who looks just like Jackie Chun, that was really confusing. That was so damn confusing back then, because I was just like, oh, okay, I guess like this is actually, because like when I first saw Jackie Chun, I thought, oh, like that looks like the Muten Roshi in disguise. And then when I saw this other guy, I was just like, well, maybe he's Jackie Chun. I'm really confused. And it wasn't until like I just saw that arc, and I was just like, now I'm really confused about that filler episode who tossed in a guy who looked like Jackie Chun. But yeah.
I blame filler and Toei and Toriyama, and you know that there's only so many character designs that they kind of think of, so that everyone kind of starts blending together. But
yeah, that's kind of Toriyama's fault too, because like the man's has like 6 character designs, and he spreads them out thin.
Pretty much, especially considering how many times characters change their hairstyles. And
right.
The only other thing I think was kind of interesting about the like kind of admin stuff was this thing where like I understand the joke now, but nobody else would understand it. And that is that the announcer, when he's reading Son Goku's name, he misreads the kanji, and instead he calls him Mago Gosora, which
Yes.
because the kanji for Son can also be Mago, and the kanji for Ku can also be Sora, and it's like, oh. I'm kind of surprised. It's like, on the one hand, I'm kind of surprised they didn't translate it, but I'm also like, I kind of get it as well, because it's really hard to translate it. I checked the manga. The way they went about it is they had him think that the space in his name was at a different place, so he calls him like Son Oku or something. So it's slightly different, but it's hey, Japanese joke about kanji, which you would not understand in English or in English context. That is one of those things where you do kind of have, if you want to like make this for a dub, like, it's okay if you change that joke, because if you don't know Japanese, you would have you literally can't understand it.
Yeah, it was one of, like, I don't think I've ever had an issue with that joke, like, because, like, I knew that, like, certain kanji were read differently depending on, like, certain context in them, and so, like, whenever that joke rolled around, I was just like, I mean, like, I didn't know the specifics of, like, oh, this kanji is read this way, this one's read this way, or can be read this way. But I did get the joke of, like, oh, okay, like, those kanji can also mean this, because, like, because, it makes it pretty clear whenever Yamcha leans in and goes, that says Son Goku, and he's just like, oh, yes, Son Goku, of course. I'm not retarded, I can read. So, yeah.
Do you know who did the voice for the tournament announcer? Because I didn't look this up, and now I feel like I'm very curious.
And, oh man, like his voice is so distinct, too. Like, it really does stand out. And, what was it? Like, because it's kind of weird to think, like, because, like his, like, the Japanese voice and the English voice are really complementary. It's just like, it's one of the few times Funimation, I think, picked a voice actor that really complemented, like, what the original Seiyu sounded like. And now I
know in English it's Eric Vale, and I know this because I think I've seen like interviews and stuff where he says he gets a bit annoyed about it because it's kind of a bit of a strain on his voice compared to Trunks, but which
is such a weird thing to think, because like Trunks is such a gravelly voiced dude, so maybe
it's not compared to Trunks, but like maybe just like specifically because he's got to put a lot of energy into it. And,
right.
Yeah. Are you just looking that up now?
Yes.
In the meantime. They just, so there's not really much in that importance. They try to make a joke about how they've got to you can't kick them in the crotch, but then Lan Fan mentions that she doesn't have any balls, and it's like, you can't kick them in the balls, but then she doesn't have any balls, and it's like, and I'm kind of a bit surprised that that's like a sort of a thing, because like that's kind of the joke, because like, even if girls don't have balls, if you kick them in the crotch, it would still be kind of unsportsmanlike. So like that's not necessarily just a guy thing. I mean, it's worse for guys, but still. But yeah, and they do some stuff, and then they talk about how the winner gets 500,000 zeni, which I think is that the first mention of the prize money? I feel like that's the first mention that everyone actually gets prize money.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, because I don't recall it being mentioned before. It's also, the guy who voiced the tournament announcer is Kenji Otsumi, who did Mutaito, the Red Ribbon Leader, and Senbei Nuramaki.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah. So he doesn't do, so he hasn't done any like recent, like proper like recent roles. He just did all the old ones. That's kind of sad. But then I don't know. Just random thing. I don't know. I just thought about it because I'm like, this is a character who like also kind of keeps coming back, especially after like a brief absence. And he comes back near the end of the series as well. And it's like,
right.
He's kind of almost as important of a character as like, some of the gods are. So it's like, it's nice to like, give appreciation for that. But yeah, so then we have the tournament is just about to start, but to open up, we get this thing where the priest of the temple comes in and says some words, but he's just a dog, so he speaks as a bark. He just barks, and that's it. And then everyone face faults.
Yeah. Okay. So the Budo Temple priest, like, that is a really odd addition, because like he seems like he's like this really important figurehead within this tournament, but yeah, no, like he's. Like, this is the only time he'll ever be referenced, and really, the ring announcer, who never got a name, oddly enough, like he will be, like, the face of this tournament from here on out. Like this temple priest will never be mentioned again, But, this blonde dude who's the ring announcer will be there for every single tournament, and he will be the face of the Tenkaichi Budokai from here going on.
Which I do still like. I mean, I feel like, once again, with, like, the same, like, the, the interesting imagery and stuff, having this, like, consistent announcer really does kind of help give it its own identity. Even if the announcer isn't particularly interesting visually wise, I don't know, like, I'm kind of reminded with something like, say, like, Tagashi's work, where in the tournament announcers, for some reason, all the tournament announcers and all of his works are always cute girls. So it's like, I just like that Thomas has got this idea in Dragon Ball where it's like, no matter what, you've always got this one announcer. But yeah, anyway, at this point, then the tournament starts and we get our first fight. Krillin versus Bacterian.
Okay, so something I wanted to bring up. When Kuririn is walking to the arena, like his animation is like really jerky, like it's like almost like a half frame, or like it's missing frames. And I thought that was kind of really neat because it shows because it's obviously meant to imply he's had like this really jerky movement to him because he's really nervous. And it was just like this really little expressive piece of animation that I really liked. And like this whole episode is really expressive in terms of its animation. There's all these little details and like the way the characters move, or like how they express their facial expressions, or even like whenever they're calling out Goku's name incorrectly and he's just kind of like looking back and forth, and just this kind of dopey like yeah, this animation's super expressive and I really love the way it looks.
Once again, also proving that Krillin is the most relatable one because he's actually getting nerves before going into a tournament fight. Good on you, Krillin, for showing us that people still express emotions.
Right? Yeah. So the first tournament round begins, and I honestly have not. I don't have anything really to say about it. I don't like this fight. It's kind of boring. It's all based on like gross humor, and it's not even like clever, funny, gross humor, or like it goes so far into like weird Ren and Stimpy territories. It's just like, I'm gonna scratch my balls and touch you with my nasty finger. I'm gonna rub my smelly ass in your face. And I'm like, it's so boring, and I don't like it, and it's just, it is too lowbrow of humor for me to enjoy.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, definitely, like, it does sort of feel like there are moments where I'm just like, oh, that's disgusting. Why would you do that, Toriyama? Like, I don't really feel like I minded too much, surprisingly. Maybe it's just, like, I'm just almost like, okay, I kind of understand that this is, like, this is a show for young boys, and young boys love growth-out humor for some reason that I can't understand, because I'm not a young boy, so maybe this is just, like, going beyond me, but, I mean, obviously, like, the one good thing about this fight, even if it is kind of like really sort of weird and dumb in context, is the way that it basically ends. It's that Krillin fights this Bacterian guy who weaponizes stench, and he seems to have a lot of trouble with him, and then Goku reminds him that he doesn't have to smell it if he doesn't want to, because he isn't drawn with a nose.
Yeah, that is great. It's like Kuririn, you don't have a nose. And it's just, I think the way the anime translated, if I remember correctly, they translate it as, Kuririn, you don't have a nose. Where if I remember in the manga, it's, you weren't drawn with a nose.
Oh, and, I mean, my translation doesn't say that he's, I think my translation is just like, you don't have a nose, but like, it is not a big deal, yeah. But yeah, it's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like in the anime, I'm pretty sure it's because it's just like a difference that I'm pointing out. That in the anime, they have him just say you don't have a nose, where the manga turns it into a fourth wall break, unless there's some sort of translation, like one of these is inaccurately translated. Which, if anyone knows that, please let us know. That's always good information to have.
Anyone who's watching this in Japanese or something and actually knows, do us a favor and do our research for us, because we're just talking about this randomly. And it's like, so it's like, I like it. I think it's kind of a bit silly. In fact, it's very silly. And in fact, it kind of feels out of place to suddenly insert this weird, like, literal kind of meta fourth wall break. But it is one of my things. Like, okay, fourth wall humor, I'll give you that, because I like fourth wall humor, even if it is sometimes you can make dumb fourth wall humor. Whatever, that's my niche. Okay, great. I'll give you that one. It's cute. Like, maybe the reason why it's kind of a little bit annoying is because, like, I think I want to talk about this later when also we get to the Goku's first fight. It's just that it's like, It doesn't really feel like Krillin learned anything from this fight, even though it was his first proper fight that he was in trouble. The only thing he really learned was that he doesn't have a nose, and it doesn't really feel like his character's developing in any way. So maybe that's kind of one of the problems.
That is exactly what my problem is. That this fight doesn't tie into Kuririn's character at all. It has nothing to do with his training. It has nothing to do with any particular flaws in his character or like him overcoming something specific. It's just him going up against some stinky fat fuck and then going, "Oh, I can't smell his wretched putrid scent. I can fight him now." And it's just like, what? The gag that it ends on with the whole he can't smell him thing. It's like that I think is funny, but just everything else about that is just like it doesn't make sense for why this character, why this setup for this fight. This is one of the reasons why I say I don't care for a lot of the preliminary matches in the Tenkaichi Budokai, because it's things like this where it's like, how does this relate to our characters? Why does this fight specifically exist other than to just be kind of a gag? And like I said, I don't even think it's a funny gag. So yeah, this episode just does not work for me whatsoever.
And maybe then, like I said, maybe this is why I almost, like I said, I honestly probably would have preferred it if that random monk guy who was in also in Krillin's temple, if that guy was the one who went to the preliminary, since that was Krillin's first proper fight in the tournament. I think that would have made more sense, because Krillin would have had more character development here. I said, all he learned was that he doesn't have a nose, and even then, it's he needs Goku to tell him as well that he doesn't have a nose, so he doesn't even really win by his own. He just wins because Goku. So I don't know. Not really the best start to the tournament. So
yeah, no, it's a really weak start.
Anyway, but that's it. And then Krillin wins, and he beats him by farting at him, having been a taste of his own medicine. So
yeah, that's
pretty much the episode. Then episode 22.
Yeah. Okay. The opening scene of this, once again, we're just talking about cute animation sequences, is Kuririn's it starts off with him in the middle of the arena talking to Goku, and he's clapping with excitement over winning his match, and it's once again just super adorable animation. If you guys can't tell, I am a sucker for just really cute animation. Not like saccharine kind of cutesy, trying too hard to be cute, but just something that just ends up just is inherently just cute on its own. And that was just a moment that was just super adorable for him. So yeah, just getting that one out of my system. We got Namu's backstory here. Is this okay? Was this him? This him having his flashback? Was this filler? Because I feel like this one was. Okay.
Yes. I noticed this because, and then it's weird because it they actually show it, because once again, it's one of those things where the anime does something before the manga does, but then it does the same thing that the manga does anyway. So Roshi we find out Namu's backstory just before he starts fighting Lanfan, and at that point when basically Roshi's just okay, his expression is just I think the subs is it's such a certain expression just out of a serious drama, where it's just he seems too serious for this gag manga. I need to work out why, and he reads his mind and find out the backstory. And it's weird because they do the exact same thing in this episode, but then they start off this episode by doing it and then showing Namu's backstory, and then when they repeat it later on in the episode, they use the same animation. So I'm just were they just stressed for time? Do they need to repeat a lot of scenes or something? Is that why they did it?
Yeah, that was a really, really kind of poor choice in my mind. Just them going with the because I get one of the scenes you get the full flashback from his perspective, and in the other one you just kind of see the Muten Roshi seeing just kind of panning images and just a smaller, a more condensed montage of it. Because at least it doesn't re-show the entire sequence again. It is just in segments. But yeah, it does feel really repetitive when he goes, "That guy's really stern." And then later on in the episode, he goes, "I wonder what his deal is." And then he reads his mind. And then he goes, "I thought he was too serious for a gag anime." So yeah, it does feel super, super redundant. And then whenever he goes to have his fight, he has another flashback, another smaller flashback, whenever he's fighting Lanfan. So it's just so we get that flashback 3 fucking times in one episode, and this is an episode with 2 fights in it.
maybe that's why. Because it was an episode with two fights in it. Maybe it was one of those things where it's just like, they needed to reuse a lot of footage. They didn't have enough drawings. Let's put the flashback in earlier on so they can show it again. I mean, like, that is the thing that makes the most sense to me. Like, or maybe it was just so they didn't want to have it sort of like, they didn't want to kind of like info dump like all of his backstory just then, like as Roshi just randomly reading his mind. Maybe they thought that was a bit too clunky, because I could understand it sort of being seen as that.
I just didn't. I just feel like the anime poorly handled that segment. Something I really did like that the anime, I'm pretty sure the anime adds in, is Goku and Girin eating. When they're both like tearing through like piles of like chicken legs, and Goku has this really nice moment of generosity where he sees Namu and like he could hear his stomach growling, and Goku just goes, "Oh, you're hungry," just grabs the plate. "Here, have some." And it's just like, it's a nice little moment for Goku where he puts his own desire to stuff his face aside and go, "Oh, that guy's hungry too." And I mean, it's like, it's that very simple Goku mentality of just, that guy's hungry, have some food. And I don't know, I just really liked it. It's a small moment, but I always really appreciate small character moments like that, even if it is anime exclusive.
Although then when we find out that, like, basically Namu's refusing pretty much because, well, he's Hindu and he's vegetarian, so it made me wonder, is Namu a racial stereotype?
I don't think so. I mean, because, I mean, I don't think, like, Hindu, like, areas are known for, like, you know, of India are, like, really known for, like, famines and stuff. I mean, I could be wrong. Like, I mean, like, even though I am Indian, I don't really know jack about India, oddly enough. So, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but, I mean, I wouldn't say he's a stereotype. You know, it's just, you know, he's clearly a very devout individual, and that's just kind of his thing. And, like, I don't feel like he leans too far into it.
Yeah, it's just, there's obviously a lot of shorthand, and I feel like maybe even if you were in a Japanese audience where they are a lot closer to Asia and also India, like, yeah, I feel like I guess it is essentially the kind of definition of a stereotype. He uses a lot of sort of like, okay, look, he's Indian and he's Hindu, and they use that as a shorthand for, like, so you don't necessarily need to like develop him as a specific character, because we kind of like have those preconceptions about what he's like. I don't know if it's going to do with him being the comically serious. It's just something I'm very curious about. I feel like I actually don't understand enough about the culture to actually give a judgment. I'm just very curious.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually meant to be a stereotype. Like, nothing about him really comes off as stereotypical. Yeah, like, I mean, there's, like, visual shorthand, you know, like, you see, like, you know, he's really skinny, you know, so you could tell that he comes from, like, a famine, like, a territory where, you know, he is malnourished, and, you know, you see that he's always meditating and stuff, he's always in this very serious state of mind. I mean, I think they give us enough of his character that we can infer from, without just leaning on, oh, like, I mean, if you took away the turban and, like, the dot on his head, like, I mean, I don't think we would really know more or less about his character. I mean, because the thing that he comes from a region that is suffering from a drought, and, you know, he can't, you know, he has to go, you know, earn money for them so that his people can survive. I think that's, like a very, like, down-to-earth issue that anyone could understand. So, like, I don't think, so I don't think, like, you know, really, you know, like, the additional aesthetic things might just be flourishes that Toriyama threw onto him, and I don't think it really affects, like, the interpretation on his character. That's just me.
Man, I'm so glad I can talk about this stuff on my channel and not be scared about being called out for being an SJW. But, yeah, anyway, so, we get two fights in this episode, and the first one is the quarterfinal between Yamcha and Jackie Chun.
Yeah. And like this is cool. I love when Bulma, and once again, I'm not sure if this is in the manga as well. I think it's in the manga where
I think Bulma's in the manga.
Yeah, where she's just like fawning over like what Jackie Chun's going to look like, and just like, you have a boyfriend. She's like, so it's my business if I end up falling for him. It's just like, wow.
She's already unfaithful.
You're kind of a bitch. Considering, like, it's really ironic considering how much he's gonna flip out on Yamcha in the future for, like, checking out other girls and stuff. It's just like, wow, like, you aren't exactly, like, you know, the queen of being faithful yourself.
I mean, that's Bulma. She's kind of a hypocrite all of the time, especially when she's calling other people out for things.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was great. And then like when Jackie Chun does come out there and she's just like, oh, it's an old man. Ugh. Go Yamcha! Woo! It's just like, wow, you changed your tone. I love that entire like just like we may not get Snarky Kuririn too often now after this. We still have Snarky Oolong. See, there you go. That is the thing. That is the thing that gives Oolong more value than Puar. His snark. Oolong has that snark. And like he has that really snarky retorts with people where Puar just goes, "Yay, Yamcha! Go Yamcha! Yamcha's so great!" God.
I feel like at this point we could just compile a list of how many different times we like rag on Puar. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to see someone. I want to see someone with a counter, just like how many times we shit on Puar counters.
I still have my counters. You can put on your counters now. Yeah. So. Obviously, the Yamcha Jackie Chun fight honestly isn't much. In fact, it is because it is perhaps the first example and the biggest example and the most obvious example of the Worf effect, or jobbing, or basically Yamcha, a character who was established to be pretty strong from all the stuff we've seen of him, gets beaten really quickly by this mysterious stranger. So we know, without even really knowing much about his techniques, we know this mysterious stranger is strong because he beat Yamcha. He beat Yamcha without even throwing a punch. Wow, that's so crazy. I wonder who this guy is.
Yeah, no, like it definitely sets up the stage for Jackie Chun. It's one of those things that it's such a non-fight, but I do really like it. It is just that thing of like, him just easily, casually dodging all of Yamcha's moves, and then just claps his hands and then just throws his hand out and just gust of wind just takes Yamcha out of the arena. And yeah, I actually really love it. And okay, so something I wanted to bring up, and this is a repetitive issue that I've seen in like this match and pretty much all the subsequent matches I've seen for this video so far. And that is the storyboarding is terrible. And I don't mean like the way the characters are necessarily framed in an individual shot. I mean the continuity between storyboardings, where characters will not be in the same position whenever the cameras change angle. And it's obviously meant the camera's supposed to be changing angle from like one side and it's changing angles to the next, and it's like, you weren't standing in that position. You weren't standing in that location of the ring. And that happens a lot, which is really weird considering the ring only has one distinct side to it, and the other three sides are open, and they still can't keep that consistency. Even when Jackie Chun knocks Yamcha out, it shows Yamcha flying towards the wall. And then the camera angle cuts, and he's flying out of the arena, and he hits the audience stand and falls out of the ring.
Okay, I actually do remember that. Yeah, that was the one. I normally didn't notice those storyboarding, but that was something that did kind of like even subconsciously kind of throw me off a bit.
Yeah, no, it's really distracting when it happens, and there's a few there are like a few scenes in every single fight that do that. And I was checking the manga, and even like the manga has like a few inconsistencies like that, where it's just like, oh, like they're not in the right location for like that, or like Toriyama breaks the 180, like this will break the 180 frequently, and this like what was it, like one scene where like Kuririn and Jackie Chun were fighting, like they were on like one side of each other, and then the camera changed angles, and then they were flipped around. It's just like, no, you guys need to be on the other whatever. So yeah, no, like as far as storyboarding goes, there is really bad continuity throughout from like these fights down. I didn't notice anything in the Bacterian fight, which is why I didn't bring it up sooner, but like, yeah, there's a lot going on here. Characters will be like attacking in one scene, and then the camera angle will change, and then they'll be like in a fighting stance the next. And it's like, what just... Like, it really creates this weird disconnect with the visuals. And yeah, it's really wish that the staff had really paid more attention to that. But I mean, obviously, you're cranking out an anime episode every single week, so I mean, there are time constraints, and we've already gone over how this episode specifically probably has some time constraints with all the reused footage from Namu's flashback. So, oh well.
I mean, I wonder if, like, at the very least, the issues with the manga kind of goes to kind of basically because it's all kind of like Toriyama sort of trying to learn how to properly do like really long fights, because Like, I mean, I don't know if Dr. Slump ever really got into, like, battle scenes, inverted commas. Like, I feel like it didn't. Like, if they were, they were very kind of short. So, like maybe just because it's Toriyama, like, the first time he's ever really done something like this, so maybe that's why it kind of feels a little bit amateurish in terms of the panels and the structuring and whatnot.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I said, like his individual framing, like per panel, is always great. But just the consistency between the panels is the issue, and like I mean, it's still like, you know, like I said, like it probably is just that, like he's never done fighting manga before, and honestly, he's going to alleviate this issue in the future, where just every area these characters fight in is going to be rocky wasteland, open wasteland with some trees, rocky quarry, just like, yeah, it's gonna be that. It's just gonna be that from Piccolo Daimao onward.
Maybe continuity editing isn't exactly Toriyama's strong suit. I don't know. But yeah, that's the first fight. Then we have us, but yeah, we actually do have 2 fights in this episode. Maybe that is perhaps why that they had to reuse a lot of footage, because, you know, fight scenes are not easy to animate. That you need more drawings for that, just in general. You can't use stills for a lot of it.
Yeah, but I feel like, you know, these fights in themselves work, because I mean, Yamcha's fight was really the lack of a fight. And they reuse a lot of scenes of him, like, just kind of doing the same repeated punching and Jackie Chun swaying back and forth. And, like it's not like the animation here is really dynamic or particularly visually interesting. It's a lot of, like, sliding panels and things like that, and, like whooshy backgrounds make up a lot of the animation, like, you know, fight scene visuals for this. So, yeah, I don't know what was up with this one. Like, maybe it was just the specific staff was like a cheaper staff that wasn't like as professional enough to like really knock out a good fight. And I'm gonna look that up while I'm saying that. But yeah, so
yeah, in the meantime, maybe while you're looking that up, maybe I'm gonna talk about, because like I said, the second fight in this episode is Namu versus Ranfan. The first and the only fight between two characters we never know. Yep.
This episode was helmed by Maeda.
Ooh.
It's not even like a good looking episode. It's not even particularly well drawn or anything. Like who was the key animators for this one? Who was key animating for him?
That is just like the sound of your spirit
key animated
breaking.
Part of this.
That is the sound of your spirit breaking.
Oh my god. Man, he is a way better like animation like director than he is a supervisor than he is an animator apparently, because man, this because he key animated this, and then it was like a guy named Aramaki and Aoki. So yeah, like so he did probably like a third of this, and I don't even know, like maybe like the Lanfan and Namu fight, it looks a little bit better, but still that just doesn't, it's nowhere near as impressive as what I'm used to seeing from like the in-house Toei staff.
Oh, maybe it was just an off day. Like,
yeah,
we will never know. We will never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, oh my god, they really dropped the ball, there's such garbage, but yeah, just man, they must have had like a really stressful week that week. So yeah, damn.
But yeah, so the next fight, yay! I sure do like the fight between potential Indian stereotype and female stereotype, the characters.
Yeah, this is another really bland, boring fight, and I don't like because Namu at this point hasn't been presented as an interesting enough character to care about him.
I mean, yeah, in the manga we only literally just found out his backstory just before he started fighting.
Yeah, and Lanfan we know nothing about, and we know that like, oh, you know, she uses the fact that she's a girl to her advantage. But like one of the things I do like about Lanfan at very least is that she is an actual fighter. Like, you know, you see her throwing down. She throws her fist. She kicks hard. Like she, you know, Namu goes to attack her. She is able to avoid him. So, like she is shown to actually be a competent fighter. Like, you know, she got this far in this tournament for a reason. And I do think it's kind of cool of Toriyama to have inserted a female character. And then you start getting into the male gaze element of her character, and
the male gaze. Yeah, it's. Like, at this point, at the very least, it's intentional. Like, they're not even, Toriyama's not even trying to hide it. Like, this is fan service to the audience, but also because it means that the characters can't actually fight properly because they're too busy distracted by the sexy, just like you would be.
Yeah, and I mean, because I guess he assumes everyone who reads his manga is a 12-year-old boy, which, granted, I mean, most were at that point. But yeah, no, like, once again, it falls into that category of, as a teenager, I thought this was cool. As an adult, I don't care. Like, I mean, I don't find it offensive, and I find it way less bothersome than, like, how they sexualize Lunch, because Lunch is not an inherently sexual character. It's just, like, the camera treats her like one. Lan Fan is a sexual character. She is intentionally doing this. Like, you know,
she has to her.
Yeah, like that, like I said, she can fight. She can fight. Let's be fair here.
Okay, right. She can fight. It's just her basically. It's like, you know, in the same
her trump
way.
Card.
It's more like in the same way that Bacterian's gimmick is that he can use his stench as a weapon. Lan Fan's gimmick is that she is a girl and she can use the fact that she is a girl as a weapon.
Yeah. She basically just kind of uses her femininity for that, and yeah, that's about it. Like I said, this falls into the category of another fight where I have nothing to say. It's not particularly interesting. I don't find it particularly funny.
It's not even really a gag. It's not even really a gag. It's just like,
it's fan service. It is pure fan service.
Oh no, how do I deal with it? And he's just like, oh right, if I just close my eyes, I won't be distracted. There you go, end of the fight. Next fight, and basically that's the end of it. Like, that's pretty much the end.
Yeah, that one comes and goes pretty quickly too, and it's I'm kind of glad they shoved both of these fights into one episode, because man, if these were each like their own episode, it would be grueling.
Oh, that would be unbearable.
Yeah, so good job Toei staff for not to. Oh my god, so the Muten Roshi. Okay, so I said last week that I was like, okay, well I think we're past all the really bad Muten Roshi moments for. Well, until we probably get the super or whatever. And then, of course, the Muten Roshi.
This is in the manga too, I checked.
Yeah. So, of course, the Muten Roshi goes and starts fondling Lan Fan while she's blacked out. It is horribly tasteless.
Good job.
It is so bad.
Great,
Toriyama. And of course, like, you know, the tournament announcer's like, could you stop groping the contestant, please? Oh, so yeah, that was a really trashy, really tasteless Muten Roshi moment that, like, once again, like, you know, it was kind of a bland fight with a stupid gimmick, that I'm not 12 years old, so it doesn't titilize me, and it ended on a really trashy, Muten Roshi joke that I don't think is funny, and I just think is in poor taste.
Alright, next episode.
Okay, so this one, we get the unveiling of the Tenkaichi Budokai title card.
Yeah,
which may sound mundane, but it's so cool. I love it.
You know what it felt like to me? It felt like it was supposed to be like the start of like a news program on TV, where it's just like the logo is slowly revealed and you have like that jingle, and the jingle just it sounds like something that you'd put on like the start of like you know, a TV news program or something, and I'm like, was that supposed to be that, or am I just like mishearing things?
Yeah, no, like I love that title card, and like the mere fact, like this title card is going to be a thing, I'm pretty sure, in every single tournament in Dragon Ball at least. Like, it's always going to do that from here on out. Like, whenever there's a tournament, it's going to do the red circle with the symbol in it whenever this tournament starts. And I find it kind of weird that the symbol comes in at this point and not like during the first rounds of the tournament or during the preliminaries. But then again, this is the first fight where Goku, like, you know, so once again, this is like Goku.
You think Goku got special attention because it's Goku?
Yeah.
We're only in episode 23. He hasn't even really started hijacking anything yet.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he is the main character. Like, the story is always told from his perspective, and this is his first fight in his first tournament. Even though it's Kunin's first tournament too, like, this arc is, you know, the series is Goku's series, so when Goku, you know, he's about to get into the ring, that's now the tournament has started. Those other fights, those fights didn't matter. The tournament starts here with Goku, and here's his awesome title card that we're going to use from here on out throughout the rest of this tournament.
Which is just kind of odd, because Goku isn't really, like, the be-all, end-all kind of focus thing, even in this arc, although obviously his fight is the biggest one and he's the strongest one, blah 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 blah. But I don't know, maybe it was just a coincidence, but I mean, then again, also this is the first, like, is this the only episode of the quarterfinals where really it's just like that one fight and it's kind of dedicated to the one fight?
Yeah, pretty much, because like there's nothing else going on, because this episode is like setting up for the fight, oh wait, we got rained out, build up for that fight, and then the fight itself. And where the other episodes were split between other fights, like 2 different fights, or in Kurin's case, like everyone like drawing their numbers and the pre-fight stuff, and then the act. So this technically is the first episode that is just centered on a single fight. So that might be it as well.
And the only reason they did that is because they put in filler.
Yeah,
like half of it is filler, and it is the first time where the filler has started to get kind of egregious, where it's like, oh, wow, okay. Like, and because you can tell as well that it's filler, because like, oh, they're about to fight, and then suddenly it's like, oh, well, we're gonna have to have a break because it's raining, and they're like, really, we're gonna have a break now? We're gonna do the rain now. Fine, okay. And then suddenly it's like everyone has all these wacky, well, not really wacky adventures, but like suddenly everyone is interacting in the middle of the rain, and Giran comes in and does the whole, like, the mysterious stranger shows up in a bar and then beats up a bunch of guys because they insulted him, and is weird.
Yeah. I kind of have like a bit of a love-hate relationship with this filler, because I do like the fact that it gives, like, because I understand it narratively why you do this, because Goku, the main character of the series, is about to have his first fight in the actual tournament after seeing what he could do, and then, oh wait, he gets rained out, and you build up Giran as this bigger, badder dude. So I totally get that, like, narratively. The reason I don't like it specifically is not so much like the reason you mentioned, but the mere fact that Giran isn't that impressive of an opponent. The fight with him isn't really that interesting. It's fairly short, and he forfeits whenever he sees how strong Goku is. So it's this build up for a guy who is, you know, like this episode long, or his half episode long filler of just really trying to get across just how much of a badass this guy is. And then, you know, like, we have this fight, then the fight already is uninteresting. It's really drawn out. It's not exactly like composed in a interesting fashion. And the whole thing is just Goku gets his tail back and kicks a wall, and Giran forfeits. So yeah.
I was also gonna say, like, maybe the other reason for the filler and having a break is kind of like a way to kind of explain as to why when Goku, at one point during the Goku Jackie Chun fight, then the sun starts setting, and you're like, how long could these fights have seriously have taken? But so maybe that's another reason. But like, yeah, still, it's odd, and yet the fight it is honestly, I think it's probably one of the weakest fights in those finals. In fact, probably one of the weakest fights in the tournament, which is weird because it's like the first one it's a Goku fight, and you'd expect Goku's fights to be interesting. You'd assume that all the, like, the stupid things would be saved for Krillin or the guys we have know nothing about. But I'd say the Goku Giran fight is, like, even less interesting.
Yeah, no, like this is why I was saying last week that, like, I don't care for the preliminaries, because the only interesting fight in the preliminaries, as far as I'm concerned, is the Jackie Chun and Yamcha fight, and that's really a non-fight, and that's what kind of makes it kind of cool, is the fact that Yamcha, this guy who we knew was a really cool badass guy, just gets completely jobbed out in seconds by this old dude who is clearly the Muten Roshi, but we're not supposed to know it's the Muten Roshi yet. And that's like the only fight I really enjoy here. All the other fights in this tournament is just, it just feels like filler. It's just, you know, and I mean, like, filler as just fluff. Just, it's here to just kind of take up space because we need a quarterfinals, and we didn't have enough interesting characters or ideas for fights. It's not even like just like the anime versions are boring. Like the manga versions aren't exactly more interesting. They're just shorter. So I mean, they're less boring in the fact that they take less time to get through, but they're not exactly more exciting. So yeah.
See, like, once again, I think the issue with these fights is kind of like, it doesn't really feel like anyone's learning anything or gained anything out of these fights. Like, because, like, with this fight, in fact, I thought it actually started off with quite a bit of promise, whereas like Goku almost rings him out, and then like he flies back, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, this is actually inherently immediately interesting because it adds an extra layer to the rules, because suddenly you can't just eliminate them by throwing them out of bounds, because they can just fly back, and in fact both sides can just fly back. Oh, is this going to be like, are they going to do something really special with the tournament, special with this rule? Is this all going to be about like fighting in the air, which they kind of used in the next in the semifinals at one point, but then it's just like, oh no, actually I have this other ability, I can paralyze you with this gum, and yada yada yada, and then it's like, oh well, I get saved once by Kinton, but you're not going to be saved again, and then Goku gets saved by his tail conveniently growing back at that given
that
moment.
was so bad,
and it's really weird, and you're like, okay, first of all, I didn't even know Goku's tail could grow back. Second of all, so it just like grew back all in like one instant. He didn't even know that was happening. Third of all, wow, that didn't take very long to regain a body part. Fourth of all, that's convenient.
Yeah, no, it's a complete Deus Ex Machina, like, the tail growing back, and even the way that whole scene is composed, because, and before jumping onto that tail thing, it's just, also, he uses the Kinto-un to get back into the arena, which, he totally cheats. That is, like, against the rules, and, like, they let Goku slide, so Goku is already, competing in a tournament that he technically should have already lost because he used the Kinto-un. But so yeah, there was that, and then he gets his tail back, and just at the right moment. And the way that scene is composed is so weird, because it's like he goes to punch at Goku, and Goku flinches like, oh no, he's gonna hit me, there's nothing I can do. And then Goku just disappears, and Girin's like looking around, and then like he looks down at his arm and sees Goku hanging from his arm by his tail, and it's just like, well, no, because we saw that scene. Like how does him hanging from his arm by his tail explain Goku just disappearing? It was such a weird scene. I think it was really poorly done. I really hate how so much of this tournament, or how much of this match plays out. Girin being thrown out, I think is kind of a cool thing, because Goku now has to deal with a strong opponent, strong in air quotes, opponent who can't be wrung out. And then Goku also has to deal with the fact that he's covered in this like gummy substance that he can't break out of. But then he starts using like the Kinto-un, and then his tail grows back, and it gives him the power to like break out, and then Girin goes, oh fuck this, I quit. And it's just, what an uninteresting fight. And as you said, it tells us nothing about Goku. Goku doesn't learn anything. Goku doesn't grow as a character. The only thing he grows is his fucking tail back, and that is not his character.
I really like the way you phrased that. It's like also, but like the way that everyone else does the face fault after Girin gives up makes me think that like it was supposed to be a gag, like, oh, like this is just like an intentional anticlimax that's making even the audience kind of surprised. But like it just doesn't really work, because we don't even really feel like there's much of a reason for Girin to be strong, so it's kind of weird. And like I said, I think my biggest gripe with this in fact the entire quarterfinals is that Goku and Krillin both win by pure coincidence. Krillin only wins because he just happens to not have a nose, and he's faced up with a guy who would be powerless against that, and Goku just happens to win because his tail grows back. And it's like, for these guys where their tournament is supposed to be like showing their progression as martial artists, they really haven't been showing progression as their martial artists yet.
Yeah, no, not at all. And the thing is, though, fun fact, like, if you would have switched these two fights around, they wouldn't have made it past the quarterfinals. Because Goku wouldn't have been able to handle Bacterian stench, because his sense of smell is so sharp. That would have crippled him way worse than it ever did Kudin. And then, Girin, Kudin wouldn't have been able to get around Girin's merry-go-round gum. So yeah, no, like, it's dumb. Like, I know, this fight doesn't tell us anything about our characters, the progression. Like, we all had this really cool training sequence, and we saw like the fruits of their labor in the preliminaries, seeing how much they've grown as fighters. And now when they're really gonna test their mettle and like struggle in a fight, it has nothing to do with anything that they learned. And it just isn't a good payoff, or it's a lack of payoff to a build up. And yeah,
like I said, it's not even just the lack of payoff. It's just because it's like the fights themselves are not interesting. And if they were interesting, maybe I'd forgive them, but they're really not. So
no, these are some of
not...
the worst tournament fights. These are some of the worst.
Anyway, on to episode 24.
Which is not a bad tournament fight. This is where, for me, the tournament really picks back up. You know, like we had like a 3-episode slump, and this is where things really come back. Where, the match between Kurin and Jackie Chun, and
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And okay, so it's really weird. This episode starts off with Kurin and Goku, getting like a special introduction to the audience.
I don't understand any of the beginning part of this. Like, I don't understand why. I don't understand why. I don't understand why we're using this opportunity to retcon the Goku's age to explain that Goku was 12. I don't understand why we're getting an interview with these guys. I don't understand why Jackie Chun shows up and then he starts singing and completely takes the stage and then Goku starts joining in and I'm like, what? Well, wait, why? What is the purpose of any of this?
This feels like filler, but it's not. This feels like
filler.
Really weird filler, and it isn't. This is shit that was in the manga.
Why is he singing? What is the purpose of this? Like, maybe this is like a cultural thing, and it's going completely over my head. But I don't understand why Jackie Chun, seeing this interview, would feel the need to suddenly start singing about how cool he is, and then Goku randomly also knowing exactly what he's going to do and start singing along and dancing along, and I'm like, well, I don't understand it. I legitimately do not understand what it was trying to do.
Yeah, I don't get the scene at all. And like it's a weird, just the weird idea of them. We're just going to stop between the quarterfinals and the semifinals to introduce these two characters, not the other two, just these two kids to the audience. And like, I mean, it does introduce the idea that these kids are the disciples of the Muten Roshi. So now the audience has context for like, oh shit, these guys like trained underneath the legendary Muten Roshi. That's crazy.
Right, so that's like, probably so it's basically just like so the audience knows about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like, you know, it's giving both the readers context into what the people of the world of Dragon Ball know about the Muten Roshi, and it also is giving the audience context to Goku and Kuririn and like why they're so special and why they're so awesome. But thing is though, if they're going to do this, they really should have brought Namu and Jackie Chun in and just like, yeah, let's get introduced to our quarterfinalist. Like that would have made more sense.
Yeah, and that would have made more sense, and that would have been cool, and that would have just be like, oh, everyone gets it back. In fact, that would be a good point to show Namu's backstory.
Yeah, like that would have been that would have been a great moment to do it, and they didn't. And you wouldn't have to have tossed in.
You could have made him really mysterious during the Run Fan fight, and then you don't find out until now, because when he starts saying that he got like a reason to fight or something, and then like he doesn't explain it, and that's why he could read his mind. And yeah, we're rewriting the story. Never mind. But yeah, it was weird. But yeah, the current Jackie Chun fight's pretty good. Even if I've got a bit of a gripe with it, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I do want to go back because I actually still have more to talk about the interview thing. So yeah,
okay.
Like I said, I think it was dumb that they cut those other two out from that. You know, it's really weird. Just looking at it as what it is. But yeah, like hey, the age retcon thing.
Yep.
So it's they retcon Goku's age and they tell him like the Muten Roshi taught him how to do math. Fun fact, the dub says that Lunch taught Goku math, not the Muten Roshi. Don't know why the dub changed that, but they did.
Somehow I can't even imagine Lunch being smart enough to teach anyone math.
Right? It's really weird. Like when I first saw, like when I was first watching it, like way back in the day, like I was just like, oh yeah, like she's like really motherly and stuff. I can kind of see that, but like knowing like just how dumb she is, like in context and just like whenever I first came across that in the watching the anime in Japanese, I was just like, oh, it was the Muten Roshi. Yeah, I guess that makes a lot more sense because he was actually teaching them things. But the age retcon really doesn't make sense because Goku says that like, oh well, I thought 11 came after, or I thought 14 came after 11. It's like 8 months later, or like almost like 9 months later since Goku first divulged his age, and it's just like, well, wait, shouldn't he have thought like, I don't know, like I don't know, like 14 came after like 13, and then he thought he was, I don't know, like just the way that that time space rounds out. I feel like Goku should have been a year older than he actually states.
Unless it was just like, yeah, his birthday just happened to be like just before they started the adventure or something, so it hasn't been a full year. But then again, yeah, when they generally say it's been pretty much a year, they'll pretty much say it's weird because like they generally don't tell how old characters are, like, at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, I mean, we get that Kuririn's 13, like, that's our first time learning that. So, yeah. Now, it was just kind of weird. It's an odd retcon, it's an odd way to present the retcon, and it is an odd placement for that retcon. It's just, like, this whole opening sequence is odd altogether. Then we get to, then we get to the actual fight between Kuririn and Jackie Chun. It is hype as shit. I love it, for the most part, at least.
Yeah, like I said, this is a good fight because it actually does, first of all, it actually does showcase the fruits of Krillin's training. Krillin has to fight and struggle, and it also kind of shows what Krillin's sort of like in the fights, and that he's actually pretty, like, pragmatic. He's kind of like the pragmatic fighter, or at least he uses that in one way, in that he uses, at one point, he uses panties to distract him.
That is great.
And
that
it's good.
Awesome.
It's like, once again, this is the kind of thing that they kind of established that Krillin does, is that he's not necessarily as strong as Goku, but he's got smarts, and he'll use that in the fight. And he actually, like it's fun. Like, it's actually integrating his personality into his fighting style. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love Kuririn, and like I said, we've already gone over this. And yeah, this fight does do a good example of one really showing Kuririn's growth as a character, like physically, and then also just, he's still like the same, like, he's smarter than Goku, so he would think to do things like this. And yeah, that's a great thing. I also love just the very beginning of this when Kuririn like throws a punch at him, and the Muten Roshi outright blocks the punch. He's like, he made me put my hand out. This kid's tougher than I thought. All right, and like even like the Muten Roshi himself has almost underestimated his own student. And then he has that great moment where, like, he moves so fast that Kuririn can't see him, and he, like, hits him in the face. And yeah, it's great stuff. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, I think I feel like my kind of niche is going to be just characters low-key, like, really appreciating how strong Krillin is, because it's fun, because it's Krillin, and he's not the main character. But, yeah, and then at that point, Goku's like, listen, I can see the punch, just, like, look really carefully, and then Krillin does see it, and then we get to this very strange and honestly kind of almost purposely overly long gag, where then Krillin and Roshi start doing this thing where they clash, and nobody knows what happens. And then the announcer's like, can you explain what happened? Because we have no idea. And then Krillin and Roshi go into this really, really long and detailed explanation of the tiny minutiae of things that they did within a tiny short period of time. And it is, on the one hand, it's really funny, but on the other hand, when you think about this in context, it starts like, it's very odd in context.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's clearly played for laughs, and this is, oh my god, this is gonna be like one of those things that power level or power scaling nerds are going to like go back to. It's like, they were able to do all of this in this time frame, so
that means that they're calculating their maximum speed, and they must be moving at this fast. And if we compare that to their power levels, that means that Goku's maximum speed at this point someone has probably tried to do that.
Which means that Goku could obviously kill Superman, and anyone who says otherwise is an idiot. Yeah, instead of just looking at this scene as, like, no, like, it's just meant to be, like, a gag scene. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, Dragon Ball does have a continuity, but, Dragon Ball also is going to kind of break its own continuity for the sake of humor. And this is, like, a good example, where it's just, like, it is kind of absurd that they're moving this fast. And this probably also has to do with the fact that Toriyama probably had no clue where he was going to be taking these characters later on.
Pretty much.
So he gives them, like, these really crazy feats, and, like, oh my god, look how fast they are, and it's just, yeah, like, I mean, they're super fast, but then, like, he just keeps, like, adding on to it, and he had no clue where he was going to take these characters. But yeah, no, like this is one of those gags where like it starts off kind of funny and then it goes on a little too long and then it goes on so long that it's actually funny again for me.
Yeah, I don't know if it is like true if it has gone to the point where it gets so long that it gets funny, or if it's just so long that it gets annoying. I feel like I don't really have an opinion because it does keep dragging on and on and on. But it's yeah. In terms of like the the sort of continuity of it, it's like because even like thinking about it in terms of like later parts of the series, it's kind of like a bit you can't really treat it seriously because while this does definitely explain Namek time, it doesn't explain like the Cell games where the spectators can clearly understand that something is actually happening even if they don't necessarily see the minute details. So
yeah,
it's
and honestly though, if you guys want even more like things to like really not take this so seriously in terms of continuity, Krillin blows snot at the Muten Roshi during that slow-mo reenactment, and we already established 2 episodes prior that he doesn't have a nose.
No, I remember this one specifically because I think later on there's like Q&As with Toriyama and people sent him letters and somebody actually sent him a letter saying like how did Krillin flick a booger at him if he doesn't have a nose, and then like Toriyama actually answers or something like, okay, well Krillin just has like I can't exactly remember, but it was like a really kind of like half-assed answer where it's like, oh
yeah, he was just clearly making shit up on the spot.
Yeah, so, but like that kind of plot hole is funny because like a 12-year-old child fan actually noticed it. So
right, yeah. So yeah, like I said, people shouldn't take that as seriously as do. But I mean, they're not going to listen to us. If there's anyone who's like a power scaler out there, he's going to be like, oh no, this is definitive proof of their base speed during that time frame, and they're clearly a bajillion times faster. But whatever.
I hope we don't have any power scalers who actually respect us. Whoops.
I mean, I don't think power scalers would respect us, which is okay, because I don't respect power scalers, because I think it's silly.
Alright, yeah, but so, anyway, so then after that, Krillin uses panties to distract Roshi. It was a pretty fun moment, great, like, really, like, exemplifies his personality, but then Roshi manages to get out using a Kamehameha, which I think this is like probably like the first example where they kind of show that the Kamehameha can also, like, make you sort of move mid-air.
Mm-hmm.
Because characters are going to use this later on. In fact, they've been using it in Super, in some episodes of Super, where you use a Kamehameha and then you can use that to launch yourself into the air as well. So it's cool. In fact, it leads to some really cool moments. But yeah, this is where it started.
I have a Super related question for you.
Okay.
Has Goku used his feet to launch a Kamehameha to get himself back in the ring? Because if not, the Tournament of Power is a complete failure.
Well, Goku's never really been in a situation where he got close to falling off the ring yet, so...
Okay, because honestly, like, that needs to happen at some point. Like, Jiren knocks him off, and he's just gonna launch himself back in using the feet Kamehameha. That is the one bit... Come on, Dragon Ball Super. That is the one bit of fan service I'm asking you for. Like, I know I'm never gonna see a Super Saiyan 4. Give me the feet Kamehameha. That's all I'm asking for, damn it.
I mean, I've already got Gohan fighting, so I've gotten everything I've ever wanted. But, yeah, after that...
The Muten Roshi launches himself back in, and everyone's like, what the fuck? He knows the Kamehameha! And I like how the Kamehameha is this thing that people know about. They know the Kamehameha is a thing. They know it's the signature move of the Muten Roshi. And 20 years from now, everyone's gonna forget this shit. It was ever a thing. And Mr. Satan! Oh yeah! He's gonna be...
I just headcanon that Mr. Satan basically, after the Cell Games, went on a giant PR spree, like, convincing everybody that it's all just magic tricks and none of that actually happened, so that's my headcanon.
Hashtag teach the conspiracy.
No,
the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai was an inside job. It was all fake.
I think that would actually be a really interesting fanfic. I'm thinking about fanfic scenarios, but yeah, so he does that, and then we get to this whole like, oh, but this is the Muten Roshi's technique. Is that the Muten Roshi? And then, like, at this point, like, if we haven't figured out that it's Muten Roshi yet, like, this is the point where like, okay, yeah, this is exactly where we're going with. Like, this is definitely what we're doing.
Yeah, because even Yamcha by this point has already called him out multiple times and like tried to yank his hair off and stuff. So
yeah, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I was just suddenly thinking about this from Krillin's perspective, because Krillin had probably never seen a Kamehameha before, right? So yeah, in his perspective, suddenly this opponent suddenly came back to the ring by shooting a giant fucking energy beam out of his hands. And then Krillin's like, what the hell is that? How do I fight something like that? I don't know. And he just like rushes at him because he has, at that point, he's got like no faith that he could actually win.
Yeah, no, like you see, and this is one of those things, like, Kudrin at this point, like he kind of really loses hope, and he just kind of breaks down, and he just goes for broke at this point. He just starts charging at him because that's all he has left to do. Like he already knew he was outpowered, and him trying to outsmart Jackie Chun didn't work in his benefit, and that just leads to, the Muten Roshi just sidestepping him and then chopping him in the neck. And once again, really expressive animation, really good animation in this fight.
Oh, I remember this because in the manga, I remember it showed the expression, and it's like actually kind of really slow, and like I remember the art of that was like really good, and like I'm really glad they they put it faithfully into the anime.
Yeah, you just see his face kind of contort, and then he gets wide-eyed and just drops in that kind of slow motion, and then drops hard, and they start doing the count out. And okay, let me just say that Kudrin really should have won this fight by ring out, because the Muten Roshi just fucking walks out of the ring. He walks out of the ring like they're at like the 5 count, and he's like, go ahead, keep counting, it won't matter. And he just walks down the steps out of the ring, and he's like inside like the little tournament fighter area, just waiting, like while they're still doing the count out. It's like, if Kudrin had gotten back up, what would they have done? Would they have been like, oh, well, the Muten or Jackie Chun walked out, Kudrin is the winner?
I guess so, yeah. But I mean, yeah, like it's one of those like stupid, like, I'm so badass, I don't even need to prove that you're going to lose. I'm gonna like jeopardize my own chances because I'm just so cool like that.
But yeah, no, like I mean, the Muten Roshi straight up ring outs himself, and no one acknowledges it. It's such a weird moment. It's so weird because, like, yeah, I get he's like being like the cool guys don't look at explosions, thing, where he's just yes. he's just calmly walking away, victory assured. But no, like you have, like, the tournament has rules. You have to stay in the ring, and that has bugged me for so long, that he just casually strolls out of the fucking ring like a pimp before he actually won the match. Like, it would have been hilarious if that completely backfired on him, and the tournament announcer goes, never mind, Jackie Chun walked out of the ring. The winner is Kudrin. And Jackie Chun goes, wait, shit, no, I was trying to be cool. I'm still here. And
like that would be really cool. I feel like you have to actually play it straight before you start making the joke about it being subverted, because like at this point we didn't even really know that was a thing. Also, not to mention, as we have seen, they seem to be quite lax with these rules already with Goku and Kintun.
Yeah, Goku and Kintun. We're gonna see it again where, like, Giant Ape Goku is clearly stepping outside of the arena. So, yeah, like this tournament specifically is pretty lax on those rules. And they'll definitely be more enforced later on. But yeah, this tournament is definitely kind of the most loose with them. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up these episodes, though.
Yeah, like, it pretty much, and the last sort of things are stuff with, like, Yamcha kind of, like, actually confronting him, being like, no, you are the Muten Roshi, look, I'll show you, it's just the wig, and he tries to pull it off and it doesn't work, and it's nice because it adds a bit more layer to the mystery, so it makes you think that, okay, maybe he isn't actually the Muten Roshi, maybe there's something going on there, because it didn't work immediately, so, yeah. Like, but besides that, then it just leads into Goku, the second semi-final fight, which is going to be Goku's fight with Namu, and yeah, that's the end.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff though. Like that beginning portion is really, really weird, and kind of off-putting. But yeah, no, the rest of it is rock solid. Goofy martial arts action that I really associate with Dragon Ball, and I think it's a good fight. Like I said, it shows Kurin's ingenuity. It shows his growth as a character, both physically and mentally. So yeah, I really like that fight, and it shows that he still has flaws also.
Yeah, like I said, I think my only thing I would have liked maybe is if like that they'd made that gag a little bit shorter and then put a few more added gags and a bit more Krillin character stuff to it. Maybe that'd be the only thing I'd prefer, but it's fine. And at this point, like, the tournament's basically over. We only have 2 more fights left, and they're both Goku's. Mm-hmm. So,
Yep.
That went quick.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like, this is a really tight arc. Like, it's not, like, it's only 15 episodes, and, like, the tournament portion only makes up about, what's 8 of these, 9 of these. So
and that's with filler. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like this is what I was talking about. Like Toriyama wrote very briskly, especially early on. Like which is why I appreciate filler sometimes in Dragon Ball, because it kind of gives his story a little bit more breathing room. Where like I said, like his manga is always just the next joke, the next plot point, the next fight scene. He always kind of pushes things forward. So I do appreciate filler a lot of times where it's just like, okay, like give the scene a moment to rest, go on to the next beat. But yeah, so comments. Let's read some comments.
Yeah, this comments is for 2 episodes ago, so it would have been the stuff when we were talking about. Yeah, I can't remember I can't do math in my head. I'm sorry. I just have the comments. I don't have the episode name.
Oh yeah, it's 13 through 16.
Okay, there you go. So that's where you know what comments we're looking at. So okay, I think the first one I'll start off is the one by Rafael Augusto Montessier. You go, girl. It's important to show the negative aspects of the series regarding women objectification, specifically for the male fans like me, in order to denormalize those attitudes and improve. No need to shy away from that, Gabby. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Best Dragon Ball duo. That is I feel like the first and only proper oh, hey, you were talking about something that might be potentially sexist and or problematic and or SJW term. That's good. Good on you. That's nice. It is nice to know that people's reactions to things that might not necessarily be the best representation isn't just no, stop talking about bad representations. You're just overanalyzing or something. I'm glad people actually appreciate this.
Right. Let's see. Oh, I got one here from Dribble Kenshin. He wrote a lot, so I'm not actually gonna read all of it. But just part of what he wrote was, it seems like you guys lost some energy during this one. Y'all should do some cutaways or something funny, something neat, like a little skit or something to give yourselves an energy boost or a bit of an analytical break. And he's basically just saying, and then he also goes on to say about how this one got a little boring, blah blah blah. And okay, thing is though, no, because I don't think you understand what a podcast is, because this is a podcast. A podcast is just people talking, and if you're not interested in people talking about a specific topic, and he does reference that he's not that familiar with he hasn't seen all of original Dragon Ball and its entirety.
Yeah, of course it'd be boring if you're listening to people talk about things that in great detail of something that you haven't seen, so you can't reference it. Then of course you're gonna find it boring. But
yeah,
so the other problem is even if we tried to think of other things to do, that would be very time consuming, and we probably wouldn't be able to make this weekly.
Yeah, no, if we this is a weekly show because we're able to, in our free time, watch these 4 episodes of Dragon Ball, take notes, and then record this podcast, cut it together, render it and upload it. This is a bit of a process for us. So this is what a podcast is, though, it's just people talking. So maybe just the podcast format isn't your thing. Also, not having context for early Dragon Ball if you haven't seen it. I do appreciate, because he does bring up that he wants to be supportive of us, and I appreciate that. But if you're not enjoying the content itself, then please don't actually watch something if you're not invested in it. If you just want to support us as content creators, because you should only watch the stuff that you like. And though we do appreciate it, it's really unnecessary, because watch what you like. Don't just watch it because it's us. Because this is designed to be for people who have either watched or read the original Dragon Ball manga and have gone through that and know this story, or have a lot of familiarity with it, or are hearing people talk about it kind of critically and kind of break down certain elements, high points, low points, and things like that. If you're not into that, that's I can understand that, but we're not really going to change the format because of that. Like I said, this is what a podcast is, and there's really nothing we can do about that format.
Basically, it's the same thing as perhaps as to why Toei would go and put reused animation and stuff. Listen, maybe it's not the best, but if you want to keep a strict schedule and the schedule is really tight, there are going to be sacrifices that you have to make. This is why, perhaps this is why I don't really care so much about like criticizing it if an episode looks bad, because sometimes I know that it's because of reasons that are out of their control. It's not just because someone's being lazy. It's because like we don't have time. We might maybe if we really stretch it, but it's also like really time consuming. We have to think of things and yada 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 yada. Anyway, next comment is from Dante Hittner, who says, really great video. I thought it was worth mentioning the fastest 100-meter time in history was Usain Bolt's 9.58 seconds. So, while Goku and Krillin's time would be amazing, they wouldn't be beyond human limitations yet. There you go. That's interesting. So I was thinking about that. And so it makes sense. It's like, it is actually kind of almost feasible some of those times, but not Roshi's. So it makes sense. What do you know? Toriyama did his research there. Ish.
Yeah, that is really cool. Let's see. Laiso Zafiri. Oh man, I'm butchering this person's name. I'm sorry. But yeah, this person wrote, no change in the background / thumbnail, but the arc changed. Okay. I wouldn't really know what to... well, first off, having to draw new art every time for every arc might end up holding up episodes. Also, I wouldn't know what to change the artwork to, because fun fact, Gabby, I didn't even tell you this, I did think about changing our outfits for like the storylines and stuff, and I was thinking about putting you in Kuririn's Oranjin Temple outfit, and then me with Goku's like wife beater that he wore during the training portion. But I realized if I did that for every arc, you start getting the points where it's just Goku focused, and I wouldn't know what to do after that. Because
I was just thinking you could change me into whatever outfit Bulma happens to be wearing, because she wears a different outfit every arc, but still.
Right, but I feel like nothing quite is iconic as her very first outfit, which is why I chose that one. And that kind of that's basically the issue I ran into. Though I do have plans for later on, because I know at least once we get to the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, I'm probably gonna put you in a Piccolo outfit and me in the orange. I was gonna say you have you in the adult Goku outfit. That could make sense. Mm-hmm. That'd be fun. Yeah, and then for Z, it's probably going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do for Z, because I could either put us in Saiyan.
Don't make me Vegeta.
Because I could do Saiyan armor, or I could do put you, because I figure if I'm going to put you in anything, I'm going to put you in Gohan's robe and hat.
But I mean, and that would be cute. I don't even know if that would work, because it's I guess the problem is our dynamics are different to Goku Bulma dynamics or Goku Piccolo dynamics, and we're not rivals here. We're friends. We're not. Oh
rivals. Yeah. It's just the mere fact that that's kind of I was picking characters that the story was centered on.
Right.
Was the idea these characters are in the forefront of the story.
I honestly think I like the images. It's just it's the boy and the girl kind of it's you and me, and our genders are completely coincidental, but it works out like that.
I know at very least once we get to the Majin Buu arc, I am totally calling dibs on Great Saiyaman.
Oh, damn it. No, come on, though. You be Great Saiyaman, I be Great Saiyaman number 2. I'm sorry, I know it's anime only, but still, if we're doing that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I can make a Great Saiyaman number 2 at very least. we'll be striking the poses. It'll be great stuff. But yeah, that's the issue with the thumbnails and backgrounds and stuff, is why those aren't changing. Like I said, I'll probably change it once it gets to the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, but it is time consuming and whatnot. So yeah. Alec Toledo wrote, with Goku's morals, the thing is, I would say, it is that he doesn't actually get satisfaction out of helping others and saving them. His morals would be that of someone who just wants to enjoy themselves as well as testing themselves. I don't agree with this mentality that Goku doesn't get some sort of satisfaction out of it, because Goku, I feel Goku's morals that he helps people because he believes it's the right thing to do, and because he's doing the right thing, he enjoys doing it. It's as simple as that. Because Goku, fighting off the cops that were attacking lunch has nothing to do with Goku wanting to test his abilities. It's just, someone was in trouble. Not I'm gonna test my abilities against these guys. No, it's just, those are bad guys, aren't they? That's a good person. I'm gonna go help the good person. That's the entirety of Goku's character. If he sees bad things happening, he's going to help. So yeah, I don't really agree with that kind of mindset.
I'm just thinking, like, there aren't many other, like, no offense to everyone else, there just aren't many other comments that I really necessarily want to read out.
Yeah, I'm kind of, there's actually one from a day ago.
Okay.
Mira System wrote, Lunch could have been such an interesting character, like specifically Blue Lunch's relationship with Blonde Lunch. I feel like they could have done something interesting out of that instead of not even addressing it at all. In particular, Blue Lunch's reaction to all the side being much...
pretty much a criminal.
pretty much a criminal. Okay, there we go. And having to live in an old pervert's house because of that. Then there's Blonde Lunch, who actually got to act as an adult figure in the anime filler. So yeah, and her relationship with Tenshinhan. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all of that. Like, they could have done so much more with her. Like, because she has the potential to be an interesting character, but instead they just make her this one-note gag, technically a two-note gag character. She's someone for the Muten Roshi to lust over, and she's someone who gets violent and scares the guys. That is the entirety of her character, unfortunately.
I think my problem is just, like, yeah, that they made Blue Lunch so dumb, so it really kind of limits what she could do. They made her so dumb and naive and oblivious to everything, so it kind of feels like she doesn't really have any sort of agency to think about, have character development at all. So yeah. So there you go. That's all the comments, and hey, it's under 90 minutes. What?
We did it.
What is this madness?
See, this is what happens when a tournament's full of boring ass fights that we don't have a whole lot to say.
And we keep it under an hour. Yeah, I was going to say, we're still over an hour. It's not true. It's not that revolutionary.
Look, okay, well, still, like, you know, this is the first podcast since the first one that, like, and we even had time for comments. Even with comments, we kept this under the 90-minute mark. So there we go.
True.
So yeah.
All right, yeah.
That's all I had to say. Gabby, you done?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, guys. Xeon, out.
Bye, guys.